r/AskReddit, what was your first encounter with utter bullshit during your childhood? My little sister pushed me down the stairs, and I got in trouble for antagonizing her. She wouldn't do that for no reason. You did not know your daughter, mom and dad. To my knowledge it was for no reason, it was the morning, so I hadn't even gotten the chance to piss her off. Also, it wasn't the first time she had done it, just the first time my parents got involved. When I was in kindergarten we had that thing, where you had a grid of boxes, and in each box was a word. You would have to cut out each box individually, then arrange the words in some order. After a few months of cutting out each box, like we had been shown, I figured that cutting out the rows, and putting them on top of each other, so the boxes lined up, and cutting them out like that, would take a lot less time. My teacher saw me do this. I had to stay in at recess, to cut them out the right way. In preschool, my mom gave me a book of math problems, and said if I got them all done by the end of the day, I'd get a reward. I did the shit out of those math problems. My reward was a hug. I felt like Patrick from the Valentine's episode of SpongeBob. Edit, I feel I should clarify my mom and I love each other very much. It's just when you're 5, and you hear the word reward, you tend to have high expectations. My mom finding a cigarette in the backyard, accusing me of having stolen a friend's mom's cigarettes to secretly smoke there, and grounding me for it despite me not having done any such thing. Was asked to watch the rectory on Friday nights, so the priests could have a night off. I was 12 years old. My job basically was to accept food that was brought by parishioners for the priests and find a place for it in their jammed-packed double-glassed or refrigerator that was as wide as 2 refrigerators. There were 4 priests at our tiny parish. I accepted fully cooked roasts, hams, casseroles, and cakes. I was told not to eat anything. A few months later I was made to clean the convent with a couple of the nuns as a punishment for talking too much in class. There were 23 nuns who lived on site and tagged school. Their kitchen had a tiny refrigerator, and when it was lunchtime they opened a cupboard of expired canned goods. We had very old tomato soup for lunch with stale bread and milk made from powder. I asked them if they knew about the food over at the rectory, and they said no. I was bullied a lot in elementary school. To be fair, I was a pretty easy target for the bullying. r/Rosen would have a meltdown not knowing where to start. So every day at lunch and recess I would get chased and harassed by 4 other boys. One day the teacher assigned to keep order on the playground grabbed me and told me to quit running. But of course, as soon as I did the 4 boys began pushing and taunting me, so I started running again. Next thing I know the teacher grabs me by the arm and starts to paddle me. Teachers could do that back then. She missed my ass, and caught me in the back again, so I cussed at her. She sent me to the principal's office. And when I told him what had happened he just shook his head, then had me stand up, to take 3 licks from his paddle. 5th grade is when I learned the world was utter bullshit. When our teacher would yell at us if we asked to go to the bathroom at the beginning of class, because we should've gone earlier. And then yell at us if we asked to go in the middle of class, because we were interrupting. And then yell at us if we wanted to go at the end, because we were trying to ditch, since the class was almost over. My mom, you don't lie to others. Also my mom, / getting caught red-handed, while telling a lie, and I had to call her out on it / I was around 7 to 8. It was sports day in my school and I participated in Pass the Baton. I was enjoying myself, and trying my hardest, but at the end of it my class teacher told my mum, in front of me, that I was too slow. Not sure why I took it to heart, but I just felt disappointed, and it made me lose confidence in sports. The first time I was followed by a couple of guys in a car. I was 12. I ran to the nearest house for help. And I asked them if we should call the police, and they said no. My mom would ask my opinion on things constantly. I would say it didn't matter to me, or whatever she thought was best, but she would force the issue, until I finally answered. Then she would scream at me about how I didn't understand, or I was an idiot, or I never thought of her needs. I still panic a little when people ask for my opinion on something. Being told I could not use the restroom in class. I was not a cut-up and really had to go. Not the first, but one that sticks out strongly in my mind. me laying in a hospital bed after an overdose when I was 13. And my mother and father were standing on opposite sides of the bed screaming and yelling at each other over me. I recall making eye contact with a nurse for a notable length of time. Learning that you can start a sentence with an, despite, me being fed that information since year 3. This was back before classrooms were super tech savvy. One afternoon, the teacher was trying a new system and wanted the class to participate. She couldn't get it to work and called the tech support guy. Well, this took a long time. We were just sitting there quietly, waiting impatiently, and the time for recess came. The teacher didn't let us go to recess because she couldn't figure out the computer program. This happened 11 years ago, and I'm still angry. Turned in 2 papers in 3rd grade that were not facing the right way. Got held in 10 minutes from recess because they won't let you do that in college or in business. Never had an issue with it in college. Worked a retail job with daily paperwork. They didn't care what the paper looked like as long as they could read it, and as long as it was done. In 1st grade, getting my yellow card flipped to red while I was in the bathroom. The teacher flipped everyone in the class 1 card while I was away because I guess she had it with us. Who threw that paper plane at the teacher? No one is confessing. Alright then. Everyone is punished. My mom informs everyone dinner is ready by yelling from the bottom of the stairs and expects me to hear her despite my room being on the other side of the house, my door being closed, and my TV being on. Also, my mom, don't yell from the top of the stairs. You need to ask me in person or else I can't hear you. In 2nd grade, a friend said the B word and didn't realize that it was a curse word. I tried to explain to him it was a bad word and he shouldn't say it. The teacher heard me spell it because I didn't want to say it out loud during my explanation. Wrote a note to my parents saying I used this word and sent me home for the day. Back in elementary school, I was somewhat misbehaved. And let me tell you, that annoying a bunch of power-tripping elementary school administrators will get you a lot of bullshit. I was sent to the principal's office for knocking over a cone during gym class. I was sent to the guidance counselor, basically used the same way as the principal's office, for tearing a piece of paper. Not me specific. But there were lists posted on the wall of the school dictating which recess games kids in each grade could play. Octopus tag, for example, might only be allowed in 2nd and 3rd grade. If you wanted to play a game that was not on the list, you were required to talk to the principal. How one would arrange such a meeting was never really clear. I was scolded for playing pretend Star Wars during recess because it encouraged violence. I was asked if I needed a chew toy to help me concentrate. I wasn't focusing on class walk because I found it too easy. When I was in 3rd grade, I got suspended for being beat up on the playground. They had a zero tolerance for violence policy. Also, I never took a swing, just punished for being bullied. Edit. Holy shit. 10k. Huh. Thanks for this. Thanks for letting this post turn into a larger conversation about childhood trauma, cycles of violence, and how no kid deserves to have an adult look them in the eye and tell them they don't deserve safety and respect. A lot of people here are talking about their stories and how they break down to their first personal lesson in how the authority will not protect you, make life fair, or even grant you basic self-respect. If you are someone who never had this experience, I'd ask you just to consider what life would feel like to someone who did as a child, and then watch the police murder people who look like them their entire adult life, and then riot. That's all I've got to say. My buddy busted a window at his house. I was completely innocent and didn't do anything to help. Yet his mother told my parents it was my fault, so that my dad would pay to fix it. Of course, I got grounded and had to pay dad back. It would be justified if I actually broke the window. I lost a whole summer, unable to go hang out with friends or do anything fun, all because that bitch was a cheapskate. I'm not friends with him anymore, but I did get to see his mom later on. She was the kind of person who would wear clothes once and return them, so I knew what she was doing. I told her we couldn't accept the returns because she washed the receipt and I couldn't verify it was legitimate, even though I could. So I screwed her out of money too. I saved my money to buy a pair of X-ray specs from the back of a comic book. They didn't work for shit. Eating dog food, because my mother used the child support for cigarettes. I went to a private school, where I was bullied a lot. No one in admin did much when my friends and I reported it. Occasionally a lecture from the app for the entire class with no specifics or calling out. In 5th or 6th grade, one of my bullies kept pinching my ass in line for pet. Didn't read into that at the time, until I finally turned around and screamed at him to knock it the fuck off. I got detention and was forced to apologize. I lost an argument with a class bully who claimed that houses were painted using sketch pens. I was 900% sure they weren't. I just didn't know the name of the thing that was used to paint houses. Dad tax. I have done chores for you all week. I have received payment from you in the form of allowance for doing said chores. I have used that allowance to buy candy per your request, because if you want something you pay for it yourself. And now you come in the room yelling dad tax and steal half of it. Going through my parents' cabinets for no reason, and finding receipts from things I recently got from Santa on Christmas. The because it is argument. Even as a kid, I knew it was bullshit. I didn't know that what it meant was there is a reason. But I don't think you'll be able to understand it, and in any case, I want to get things done this afternoon. Not go down a rabbit hole that finishes with me trying to figure out a way to explain the finer points of quantum physics to a 6-year-old. To me it was realizing adults are usually just as childish as children. But worse because they can't be punished, and usually have authority of some sort. Depressing when you literally look up to them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one.